Charleston slave traders brought Nathan to Beauregard Plantation on a humid May morning in 1843. The Louisiana heat hung thick as cotton, making the air itself feel like a living thing pressing against skin. Spanish moss draped from ancient live oaks created shadows that seemed to breathe, to watch, to wait for something terrible to happen. They found Nathan shackled in the back of the wagon, his clothes torn and soaked with sweat, his face showing fresh bruises from the 3-day journey through swampland and backwoods. But it was his eyes that caught their attention and made the traders nervous. Dark, intelligent, and filled with something that looked dangerously close to defiance. Something that hadn't been beaten out of him yet. The traders had warned the buyer in hushed, urgent tones. This one's educated, reads Latin and French. Dangerous. Keep him broken, or he'll be trouble. Maybe more trouble than he's worth. Lucinda Beauregard stood on the veranda of the main house, gripping the railing with hands that left sweat marks on the polished wood. At 24 years old and 270 pounds, she was invisible to most of Charleston society, a ghost haunting her own life. No man had ever courted her. No family had ever offered marriage proposals. She had been rejected at every ball, mocked behind gloved hands, dismissed as unmarriageable and pitied as poor Charles Beauregard's burden. But as she watched Nathan being dragged from that wagon, his chains clinking with each forced step, something shifted in her chest. A hunger she had never been allowed to feel. A desire that Charleston society had told her she had no right to experience. An obsession that would consume them both. She descended the steps slowly, deliberately, each footfall on the wooden stairs announcing her approach. Nathan looked up as her shadow fell across him, blocking out the merciless Louisiana sun. Lucinda smiled, not the gentle smile of a lady, not the practiced expression of southern femininity. The smile of someone who had finally found something she could possess completely. Something that couldn't reject her. Something that couldn't walk away. "You're mine now," she whispered, reaching out to touch his face with fingers that trembled with equal parts want and rage and desperation. Nathan tried to pull away, instinct telling him this woman was more dangerous than any overseer's whip. Her grip tightened on his chin, forcing him to meet her green eyes. "Say it. Tell me you're mine." That night, Nathan's screams echoed across the plantation, carrying through the humid darkness, past the slave quarters, past the cotton fields, into the cypress swamps where even the animals fell silent. But no one came to investigate. No one dared to ask questions. Because at Beauregard Plantation, Lucinda's rules were the only rules that mattered. But how did the daughter of Louisiana's wealthiest plantation owner become the monster that would terrorize a man for 18 months? What happened in that house that would end with a birth, a murder, and a curse that still haunts the abandoned ruins of Beauregard land? And what secret did Nathan discover in Charles Beauregard's locked study that would give him the power to destroy everyone, including himself? Before we uncover the disturbing truth about what Lucinda Beauregard did to Nathan's body and soul, take a moment to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment which state you're watching from below, because this story will take you to the darkest corners of human obsession. Now, let me take you back to where it all truly began. But to understand how Lucinda became capable of such monstrous acts, you need to know about the Beauregard family curse. About what her father Charles did to her mother behind closed bedroom doors, about the systematic torture that had been disguised as love for generations, passed down from father to son like a dark inheritance. Because Lucinda wasn't born a monster. She was carefully, methodically, lovingly created to be one. And the man who created her would pay a price he never anticipated. But that payment wouldn't come for years. And by the time Charles Beauregard realized what he had unleashed in his own daughter, it would be far too late to stop her. The servants at Beauregard Plantation whispered about 3 things in the shadows of the kitchen, in the safety of their quarters after the White family had retired for the evening. First, they whispered about the locked room on the 3rd floor that no one had entered since Mrs. Marie Beauregard died in 1827. Second, they whispered about the strange tonics that Charles mixed in his study late at night, the same tonics he had given his wife and now gave his daughter. And third, they whispered about what Charles did to Lucinda after her mother's funeral.